if a match of the year candidate doesn't make me discover things about myself in a kinky way, in a sexy way, then what are we doing here?
Real quick before the women's, I had a honorable mention which I gave the Jack Off City award to.
This is going to be a terrible analogy,
Okay.
but 9/11 was terrible.
Here we go, folks. Here we go.
Well, y'all gonna have to strap in for this because I need you to understand. So, for the listeners at home, we denoted between men's and women's matches for match
True.
of the year. So, I'm going to start off with the men's. It was just at the top of my list. My match of the year. Let me tell you my requirements. Okay, I thought long and hard. I had a whole list. I need people to know. Spoiler alert, I'm a BCC head. Through and through, top to bottom.
I feel that.
Okay? But I need, if a match of the year candidate doesn't make me discover things about myself in a kinky way, in a sexy way, then what are we doing here? And so I'd say my match of the year, at least the men's, goes to Swerve and Hangman 2, the death match. Because let me tell you something. I saw a man drink another man's blood, and I levitated. The sky parted, and God shone his light upon to me. And I just was like, oh my God. I've never been so scared and turned on in my life.
So you mind free.
I got
You mind for
You got MF
It was
Mo
a
up
big
in
mind
Okay.
freak
MF Mo,
moment.
MF Smash.
I watched that match and immediately I got up and ran a mile around my house. I had so much pent up energy because I was like, what the fuck did I just watch? I had no idea that Swerve was going to win that match. I was for sure that Hangman was going to win just because of the lead in. Hangman needed to get his win back, especially after Swerve broke into his house. He put his merch on his baby. Nana was in there doing his dance in the house. There was so much violating that happened. And Hangman still couldn't get his heat back from Swerve. And so I think it was a matchmaking performance or career defining match for both of the men. But I think this is going to catapult Swerve into the main event next year, and this is my prediction, is that we're going to see Swerve walk away with the AEW Heavyweight Championship belt in 2024. Full stop. So
I'll go off of that and say that was also my men's match of the year.
I have a good follow up to that because that was also my match of the year.
Wow!
And I had the same thing.
I think, it's just like Mo was saying. I mean, I didn't get all sexy with it, but I watched it with Eric at Eric's house, and there were like times where we were just like, I don't know do I like this? And it was the drinking blood stuff, and then by the end of it, I was completely sold.
Oh, I knew I liked it. I was screaming. I was screaming.
Eric was 100% into it.
I was screaming. I was Chris Angeling as well.
I was levitating off the sofa.
I will say, man, honestly, and we spoke about it on the last pod because that show was a week before the last pod, I believe. And I said on that pod, I think that match is going to give a lot of other matches a run for their money for match of the year. So I'm not mad at that at all. I think that's one of the greatest matches of the last 15 to 20 years in professional wrestling. I understand people's gripes with it, but to me, and I think I might have said this on the last pod, there comes a point where you may not like something, but if there's a certain level of just visceralness to it, to where the people that are in that match are literally pouring their souls into it, you gotta respect it, man. There's no way you can watch that match, even if you don't like blood, even if you don't like hardcore matches. But there's no way you can watch that match and not have the highest level of respect and appreciation for what those two men did. Even if you are so against the blood drinking spot, like I get that. I understand why people were upset. There was a lot of talk about the whole Nigel McGuinness situation, and people thought it was in poor taste. I get all that stuff, but I mean, this is going to be a this is going to be this is going to be a terrible analogy.
Okay.
But 9/11 was terrible.
Here we go. Here we go.
But you gotta admit,
let me turn up my volume.
Al Qaeda know what the fuck they doing. You know
that's a weird analogy.
Absolutely not. Take out the 9/11. We're not.
Yeah, we gotta take that out.
Listen, I'm just saying.
I'm just
saying. Anyway.
Good Lord have mercy.
All right, well, I will say something that has nothing to do with 9/11.
It was an inside job. No,
what do you think really hit the Pentagon?
Jet fuel doesn't burn hot enough, Eric.
Okay.
I gotta cut all this
out. Almighty. What are we doing?
No, I think I said getting back on track. I think I said it on the last episode, but or when we talked about it. But it seemed like a Terry Funk match that I was watching in my time. Like I never got to see those live. And it seemed like so brutal, and I kind of get why everybody puts Terry Funk now in I don't know, that high regard. Because after watching that, I was thinking about it for days. I went back and rewatched it 3 times. I listened to every interview that I could from Swerve about it, and him also adding to it stuff that I didn't notice because I don't notice shit, honestly.
Yeah.
Subtle things where I guess each week leading up to it, there was the Hangman changing his gear back to just the cowboy pants and the boots, all black, and no more the little butterflies on it or whatever, or how Swerve made Hangman feel helpless by being in his house, so he had the stipulation to come back at him to make him feel helpless while he beat the shit out of Nana. You know,
it was beautifully executed from a storytelling standpoint. I
will say,
and again,
I will say this: it was a little rocky there for a second because Swerve broke into Hangman's house, but then the next week he was in a trios match with the Young Bucks defending the ROH titles, and he came out.
That's true, but was Hangman there the next year?
Yeah, he was.
Well, listen,
he came out.
Listen,
he was.
That's a bigger overarching issue,
which true
that we'll probably end up talking about at some point on this podcast.
We will.
But
no, he came out at the end and he buckshot, or he did the table spot with Swerve.
No. That was the week. That was 2 or 3 weeks later because he came out the next week. They did the 6-man tag, dropped the belts back to the Swerve Mogul people, and then when Swerve showed up at the top of the stage, Hangman got out of the ring and chased him off. But I was like, the issue is he came out and he was like, "Hey y'all, happy to be here." He was all smiley and
Was that wasn't the table spot?
No, the table spot was 2 weeks after that.
Because I thought the Swerve, the one where they went back and forth and Swerve couldn't touch him was the last one before.
So it was Hangman or Swerve broke in the house, Hangman in the 6-man tag, and then it was the following week that Hangman did the table spot, and then it was the following week was Swerve and Hangman putting Nana through a table. So
I feel like he is also just nonchalant with violence because he did do the same shit to Nick Wayne and stab him, and I think Nick Wayne was wrestling on the next.
He was. He was fine.
Yeah.
He was like the puka shell energy. will keep me up.
I just loved. I loved the freaking house infiltration shit. Chilling over top of that baby's crib.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. that man will murder a child, and I'm for it.
100% Chris Angel again. Very Chris Angel move.
I'm not mad at any of you three for choosing that match. I'll go with mine, and I'll segue it into the women's one because I didn't realize we were doing men and women's, and that makes my choice a lot easier because my men's match of the year, to me, there was a lot of really good matches this year. I'll give a shout out before I say my actual one to Sheamus and Gunther. I thought that was an awesome match. I really loved that match. And even the three-way with him and Drew McIntyre and Gunther at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I like the three-way.
But to me, nothing beat the 60-minute Iron Man match with MJF and Bryan.
That was close. That was a very close. In mind.
To me, that's a career-defining moment for MJF. I think that match is, for a broader audience, probably the moment when people realize, man, not only, like, people always knew MJF could wrestle, but not only can this man talk with the best of them and may be the best talker in the business, he might be the best wrestler in the business. And that was, to me, just a career-defining moment for him. And one, as far as match quality, that is going to be hard for him to ever top. Like that, like I don't know what can be said about that match that hasn't been said. Mm-hmm. It's rare that a match like that sticks with me, but that one, just every time I was trying to think, there's nothing that's beat that one for me this year. And you know, we'll probably get into more of the Bryan discussion with Wrestler of the Year, because I know halfway through the year Moretta had him as a Wrestler of the Year. And I remember on that show I was saying, I don't know, and if the injuries hadn't come up, I think, you know, he would have a very strong case. But for both of them, I think that's probably going to be a match that is going to be remembered forever for both of those guys. It's one of their best matches of all time. So,
did you have that same match as your match of the year mid-year as well?
I believe I did too. I think I had it as too. Match of the year in the middle of the year. And it was tough. And I'm trying not to like have things that were all towards the end of the year because like I'm terrible at remembering things. So I've been trying to go back and sprinkle some stuff in there.
I did have, real quick before the women's, I had a honorable mention, which I gave the Jack Off City Award to, which was the Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn match. The one that was in Montreal. Yeah. I think, was that Elimination Chamber?
Yes.
That was Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, that, I honestly, dude, I kind of lost my shit during that match. Like, that was, it was, I mean, I figured it'd be good, but it was like, I don't know, it got me like way more jacked off than I thought.
Yeah.
And I was watching that with Patrick. We were both fucking going crazy.
I mean, it just, the audience in there was like insane.
They were
the whole time. Like,
One I want to add.
It like made me believe, like there was a moment where I was like, Sammy's going to like win this match and win the title. Like it literally made me, the jacked offness made me believe that was good. It could and would happen.
One I want to add to that too, that I think a lot of people forget, is the Guns versus, Bullet Club Gold versus FTR 2 out of 3 falls.
The 2 out of 3 on Collision.
That was an amazing match. I think that doesn't get talked about enough in these discussions, so I wanted to give some light on that match too.
Don't worry. I got some Bang Bang Gang on my list somewhere, so they're coming back.
I feel that.
I'll talk about it a little also, but like the one that was close to the top, but I just couldn't give it because there was so much good stuff this year, was Kenny and Ospreay, both at All In and at
Wrestle Kingdom.
I
had that one written down too.
I just thought it was cool. If not that it was just like an awesome match, but also as like the passing of the Kenny kind of bout machine persona.
Jericho and Ospreay
to
was all in.
Ospreay.
Jericho and Ospreay was all in.
Forbidden
Door? You're talking Forbidden Door?
Forbidden Door, that's right.
Yeah.
Listen, if you want some Ospreay hot takes, I'll give them to you.
Oh, bro!
Because I was not into the Kenny Omega Ospreay matches. I'm sorry. And I just like,
I understand.
Which is hard because I love Kenny Omega, but I watched both and I was like, I need more blood drinking, honestly. But
I mean, I'm a blood guy, so my matches are going to be blood.
This was also pre-blood drinking match, so you just had that in you, Mo, like all year.
No, I'm just not
just
I'm not an Osprey guy. I think that I tried, and it's not that I don't recognize the fact that he's a good wrestler. It's just like his wrestling I don't connect with it at all. So, and I don't understand why, because if I love Kenny, but I don't know, it's just something about the guy. I just doesn't work for me.
It
could also be you've seen so much. It's the brev, or it's just like you've seen Kenny so much too that and like seeing him have like such good matches that you're like, all right, this dude will continue having really good matches, but I feel like Kenny's already like been there and done
It could be that. Maybe
yeah.
I just have a connection to Kenny already, but I don't know.
Oh yeah, if you like this clip, then be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, yeah! And check out the channel for the latest episode of the podcast. Dig it!